everybody. Hi, my name is Khushboo Babulkar, and I am a Talk to the Entity certified facilitator. I'm also an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, and I am taking over the Talk to the Entities socials today. And there's just so many things when this first popped up of like taking over the Talk to the Entity social, and I was like, wow, what different places can we go into? um, so entities, and I am from India, so we have a lot of stuff around entities. We have a lot of different kinds of ways of dealing with entities. Our culture essentially keeps them hanging around, a lot of ancestral stuff. So when I started, my first, my very first class after a PARS class was a Talk to the Entities class. And it was literally like my whole world just like blew open. And it was a whole different sense of looking at everything, actually. Like, if you're somebody who is super curious about learning how to work with energy, or how to work with like the unseen world, and I'm not only talking about like ghosts and entities like that, but like just simply energies. It literally includes talking and communicating with like the physical tangible things that are there around you, and the intangible things like your relationships with people, your relationships with money, your energies that you're aware of that are around you, like every energy in every single sense. Like, that is what Talk to the Entities opened up for me. Like, that is what I mean when I say it completely blew my world open. And so far I have done like about 4 to 5 different Talk to the Entities, like just the beginning classes, when I finally started to get the tools in a completely different way, the whole communication part, the receiving part, in a completely different way. And it is so interesting how entities, and your interaction with them can facilitate so many different things. And the great things, and there are also things that will like teach you stuff and not in a great way, but irrespective, you gain awareness. And that's like the coolest part. And I think, um for me, like when I began, there was, I never really had a lot of resistance. Like, usually a lot of people have a lot of resistance to entities. I haven't typically had a lot of resistance, but it was such a wonderful journey. It was more like just diving into the ocean and like figuring out how to swim through it and like with it rather. Uh, so it's been quite different. And every single time I talk to somebody who talks about their entity experiences, and specifically around Talk to the Entities and how they got into it and what they learned and how it went for them, it is so cool because it's unique to every single different person, because your awareness of the entity world is completely different. Your way of interaction, the way you change, shift, and transform energies is completely different. And it's beautiful and it's gorgeous and it's diverse. Um, and it's super interesting to see how different people interact with different energies. And for me, it has been a roller coaster. Like, starting from learning to communicate with my ancestors, which I had absolutely no idea about. And then when I opened myself up to it, like, wow, like it can be quite interesting how we normally predefine the whole entity world, or like the whole experience with the entities, as something that is going to be pretty dark, or like um not great, or something that is just going to end up into some crazy stuff. But you would be quite surprised. Like, Talk to the entities is quite literally like, and it's called a curriculum for a reason, because it is an education system, and we are highly uneducated and misinformed about like a lot of things around entities. Like, you will genuinely be surprised about the things that you discover, like when you really start using the tools, when you actually start like discovering what is it that you are actually aware of. Like, I was convinced, in my second talk to the entities class that I ever did, before we reached the part where we learn how to communicate, I was convinced there was like this dark figure that was sitting in my bathroom in the room that I was in. And I was so scared out of my life. And I told the facilitator, like, unless you do not like facilitate me through this, I am not going back into that room and sleeping. And it just turned out to be like my deceased grandmother that I had never seen or met, because she died like long time ago. So it's so easy to assume the worst. It is so easy to assume things that you do not know or you don't have information about, because you're never even willing to ask a question. But then when you ask a question and then things open up, and then it's like, oh, this is what it was. And like, it just completely shifts and changes the way you interact with everything henceforth, because then you learn never to like sit and assume things. So what what different space can you be with yourself? What different space of curiosity, questions, explorations, what different gift can you be for yourself that will truly invite you to a whole different level of freedom, excitement, and having so much more? Like, even, and when I say so much more, like that totally also includes like money, gifts, people just like taking you out for dinners or lunches or vacations. It's crazy how receiving can work in different ways, and how entities can gift you irrespective of what kind they are. Like, facilitating any kind of energies is always like this magic that you be with it, that just starts to change things. Um, so yeah, like, what difference are you that you refuse to acknowledge, especially with the entities? Because that is the unseen world. So it's like, with most people that I've come across, it's like a world that exists but doesn't really exist. It's like, yes, I know, but I don't really want to know, kind of deal. And that limits so much of the stuff that you could actually be like learning from them, receiving from them, be gifted by them, and also be working with them, on a lot of different levels. It's just incredible, is like one bottom line thing that comes for me. And my journey has been quite filled with a lot of resistance, especially when, because talk to the entities teaches you a lot of organizational skills, like management skills of learning to be with entities, creating with entities, dealing with them, and actually also having like conducting business with them. We have something called the business hours, and that was one of the things I really had a lot of resistance towards, until like the end, finally, like until the time that I actually committed, like, no matter what, okay, I am going to commit to my business hours and actually do them. That is when things started to really change. So you get it when you get it, and you get there when you get there. One of my major advice, and like the tool that I love the most of all, is like, just have fun. Like, don't make it significant, don't make it more than what it is. Like, talk to the entities as a class is literally about learning to step into your power. Like, if you refuse to be empowered in who and what you be, it's like dealing with somebody where you can either be like this little person who can be run on by every single person that is going around them, or you can be like this big, massive, like the scary bitch, as Shannon likes to say it. Like that was my favorite tool when I went to talk to the entities class, and she was like, one of the most important things in talk to the entities is that you need to learn to be like a scary bitch. So don't be scared, be scary, because it's like only when you step into your power do you have the capacity to be scary. And being scary is simply about being all of you and not making yourself small, not diminishing yourself for anything or anyone, and showing up with all of yourself and then just being. And when you're simply being, there's not much to do. Like things like just there's a flow to it that has no logic, it has no linearity, and there's a beautiful symphony, like a chaos that is going around, but it's like it's not crazy. It has a harmony to it, it has a sync to it, it like flows. And that is truly what Talk to the Entities invites you to. That's what it invited me to. It is one of my favorite classes, and it is one, like the tools of Talk to the Entities have truly tremendously like changed my relationships, specifically with my parents, because God knows how I've had my difficulties dealing with that. But those tools have truly been such a gift for me to completely dynamically change my relationship with my family, receive a lot more money in like not just with and through access, but like a different businesses, different people that I've been working with, any jobs that I've done, like in every single way. Like receiving comes in so many different forms, it's incredible. And then also like just the fun of creating with the magical world of entities, because yes, there's like the crazy ones, but there's also like so many beautiful, gorgeous beings that when you start working with, when you start acknowledging, when you open yourself up to like all of that magic that you be, that they are, and then there's like this co-creation that is truly beautiful. So what would you like to be invited to, and like what are you asking for that the entities are inviting you to have more of, to really truly be there, have your back? And also like simply the tools, like how much more can you be for you, how much more can you show up for you and as you, and what else is truly possible with that. So thank you everyone for being here and watching this. And yeah, what else is possible, and who and what is asking and waiting to gift to you, that if you would simply receive, would totally, absolutely, magnanimously expand and explode your world with so many different possibilities. Thank you, everybody. Bye.